Everyone, welcome to the show. So it is finally happening. We finally have high profile MAGA influencers and some Republican lawmakers starting to break ranks with Trump. So before I share the details, please do me a favor, click the subscribe button below this video. It's free, it's an easy way you can help the show. And a huge thank you to everyone who supports the show with donations. So here's the deal. Here's why I believe this is finally happening and why it's important. As you all know, some MAGA influencers have been coming out lately, speaking out against Donald Trump and some of the things that he's doing. People like Candace Owens, Joe Rogan made a comment in the Kilmer Obrega Garcia case. Theo Vaughn has an issue. You know, he was talking with Candace Owens about their mutual concern about what's going on with Gaza and the Palestinian people. And so, they've publicly been questioning Trump's actions, calling him out for some things. And now we have new names to add to this list. So first up is a Florida official, guy named Tony Ortiz. So this is not a household name. This is not somebody who's, really well known. But Ortiz has been a Republican city commissioner in Orlando, Florida for 17 years. He is a retired police officer. He is a former Marine. He's a Marine veteran. Well, now he is a Democrat because on Monday of this week, Ortiz filed the paperwork to switch parties. And in a statement, Ortiz said, quote, "The Republican Party is not the Republican Party I signed up with." And then he also said that he switched parties because of the, quote, "attacks on Medicaid expansion and the erosion of social safety nets and the, quote, political theater used to target the LGBTQ plus community, punish public school teachers, and erase inclusive history from classrooms." This is a Florida former Republican now. And Ortiz describes himself as a Reagan Republican, and he also cited immigration, the banning of books, and the elimination of DEI initiatives as the reason for his exit from the MAGA party. He also defended the immigrant community, which that's where he lives. I mean, his whole area is immigrants. And he said, quote, "The marginalization of Latinos and immigrants, many of whom have helped build this country and proudly served in its defense, is not leadership. It's fear-based politics. Immigrants are the backbone of countless industries in this country. They work the fields under the blazing sun to ensure we have food on our tables. They take on the jobs many others refuse to do, often with dignity, resilience, and little recognition." So this is significant for a couple of reasons. So for one, again, this is Florida. This is Margaritaville. And more recently, a couple of Florida state lawmakers had switched their party affiliation as well, but they flipped from being Democrats to being Republicans. This is the first defection that we're seeing from the right to the left. And at a time when Republicans hold all the power in DC. So not really what you would expect right now. We're also seeing more high profile Republicans speaking out. So check out what this uber conservative Karl Rove had to say on Fox News. On Fox News.
We elected him for a variety of reasons that were important. Inflation, the border, DEI, the military, respect for America, and things like, just tweeting out a picture of you as the Pope is deeply offensive to a great many people. Going out there and saying, for example, this guy from Maryland, I don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know if he's a gang member or not. But the fact is bring him back to the United States, lay out the facts in a court of law, and get it done. Don't. It does no good to let that thing go out there for 4 or 5 weeks and eat away at the president's approval on immigration.
I mean, when you've lost Karl Rove, you know you're doing something wrong. And for him to say that on Fox, as I pointed out, that is a big deal. Also, for the second time in, I think it's 2 weeks now, Former Fox host Bill O'Reilly called out Trump. So take a look at his reaction to number one, Trump's tariff comments about, oh, well, kids will just have to get fewer baby dolls, and then also the photo that Trump shared of himself dressed as the Pope.
There is no strategy. Donald Trump is not a calculated speaker. He doesn't sit around with his advisors saying, what should I say? He says anything he wants to say. Rich guys say anything they want to say. There is a little bit of meaning behind the doll comment. He would like Americans to sacrifice a little to bring China to its economic needs. And I think that's what the comment was. But who the deuce knows? The worst thing was the Pope picture. That was beyond a pale. Okay. But the reason I raised the Pope picture is that was just dopey. There's no excuse for that.
So I firmly believe you wouldn't hear these kind of comments in any other circumstance. Like 3 months ago, we would have never heard anything like this. So it tells you the political winds have shifted. Lawmakers are also starting to publicly buck Trump. Not something that we'd be seeing if Trump's approval rating was still above water. So check out what a Republican senator had to say about one of Trump's nominees that he's trying to push through.
Republican Senator Tom Tillis says he's told the White House he will vote against Ed Martin, President Trump's pick to be the U.S. attorney here in Washington.
If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6th happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not in this district. But at this point, I've indicated to the White House I wouldn't support his nomination.
So again, that's not something that we saw a couple months back. Yes, some Republicans had voted against a few of Trump's nominees, but they weren't as vocal about any of it. They didn't feel comfortable really speaking out. So it seems that they're starting to lose the fear of Trump and Elon Musk. That is not something that we saw either. That's not something we would have seen 2-3 months ago. And this is a guy, so you guys all understand where this is coming from, this animus from this Republican senator. This guy was at the Capitol on January 6th. He was not arrested, but he has made it known he was there. He was one of these election deniers, and he was like, they're stumping for all of these January 6 people. He was trying to get them off. I believe he's an attorney, and I think he even represented some of them, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he was very deeply involved in the whole Stop the Steal thing. So, for Republicans, and I think too, if you look at the polling on the January 6th matter and the January 6th pardons that Trump handed out like candy, even Republicans, by and large, are not on board with that. So, yeah, this lawmaker has some cover because he sees the polls and he goes, yeah, this isn't a popular subject. And so, the majority of the country is with me on this. Nobody likes the idea of these January 6 people being involved in government and getting pardons and so forth. But again, we wouldn't have seen this just a couple months back. So I think that things are shifting. I think we're seeing an erosion in Trump's support, and therefore it is giving all of these people more courage and cover to come out against things. So this is why I cover the polls. This is why I make such a big deal out of Donald Trump's approval rating crashing. And for people who say, and I've seen this in the comment section several times, well, the polls were wrong about the 2024 election. No, they were not. No, they were not. Maybe there were some shows, maybe there were some, mainstream media channels that led you to believe that Kamala Harris had it in the bag, that she was a sure thing and she was going to win. If you go back and look at my videos, I did not tell my audience that. I let my audience know there were some polls that had her up a little. There were some polls that had Trump up a little. And the polls that had her up a little They were typically outliers, and there was a lot of room for error there. It was always within the margin of error. It was always going to be a jump ball. And as we all saw, he won by very little. It was like 1.5 million. That is nothing in a country of over 330 million people. So, and he did not win a majority. He won a plurality, not a majority. So it was always close. It was never a sure thing. There were a few outlying polls. And I even said, as we got close to election day, that one poll out of Iowa gave me some hope, because before that, to me, it was a nail biter. And I was not 100% sure that Kamala Harris was going to win. So anybody thinking that, oh, well, the polls are wrong because they were wrong in 2024. No, they were not wrong. The people who reported them to you were wrong and misled you and gave you false hope. So stop watching those people. Anyway, I will let you all know when I hear more. I'm sure there will be more. I'm sure we're going to see more people breaking with Trump over the coming months, especially if this fiasco with the tariffs continues and the economy continues to tank. So I will let you know. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.